Good morning, guys. Got a little bit different video for you today. It's been a lot in the news lately about Tesla and Elon Musk supposedly altering algorithms so that the Teslas get better range. But let's see what happens on the drive. Happened to be going to Houston this morning and going to visit some customers, so I figured I'd do a quick video on the range that I get. Started out this morning with 100% charge, 203 miles it was reporting that I could go. I'm headed to Spring, Texas, which is only 157 miles, and it's estimating that I will be at 35% charge by the time I get there. So using 65% of the battery, I can go 157 miles. Obviously, you do the math on that. Doesn't seem like I'm going to get 302 miles, but you know, it's also a hot Texas day, so probably not ideal conditions for, you know, batteries and driving. Very hot. I'm also running the air conditioner almost on full blast, so that's going to take some additional energy out of the batteries. But let's see what happens on the drive. So my Yukon needed to go into the shop, and while it was in the shop, I went ahead and rented a car. And I found out at the time that, you know, through an app, I could rent a Tesla. It was a Model 3 Performance, and drove that thing for a few days and was just blown away by the performance. After driving that, we needed a new car anyway, and I figured, you know, a Model 3 Performance is about, or at least at the time was about $55,000 plus the $7,500 tax credit. You know, for sub $50,000, I get, you know, better than Porsche Performance. So I couldn't turn that down. Took delivery on the vehicle in March and have really been enjoying driving it. I drive it mostly around town. I never intended to, you know, buy it for long distance trips, but I happen to need to go to Houston today and meet some customers, so I figured I'd give it a shot. There's been a whole lot in the news lately about Tesla and Elon and modifying the algorithms, you know, to say that the vehicle can do much farther than it actually can. I never bought the vehicle to go long distances, and quite frankly, anytime I see an estimate of, you know, miles per gallon in a gas-powered vehicle or range on an electric vehicle, I kind of think it's bogus to begin with. So I was never expecting this thing to do 300 miles. But today's a good test. I'm doing about 157 miles from my house to where I'm going in Spring, Texas. The other thing is, today will be a test of my will to drive the speed limit, not drive aggressively, not, you know, veer in and out of traffic. I'm essentially going to drive like my friend Chris and see what kind of range I get. Estimated charge I'll have when I get there has fluctuated anywhere from 35% to 38%. I'm on a highway called 290 between Austin and Houston, and so there are several stoplights. You go through a couple little cities, so I have to speed up and slow down, ranging anywhere from about 50 miles an hour to 75 miles an hour. And I've got the AC cranking because, you know, we are in Texas, so got to keep the car cool. I'm sure that's taking a little bit extra energy, but it's still reporting 254 mile range, which is pretty good. Started at 302, went to my office, and then left from my office to here. 4,470 miles total on the vehicle.
A few moments later.
So just another quick check-in. Right now I'm reporting 82% charge and a 246 mile range. A few minutes ago it said 248 mile range, so it's obviously decreased a little bit. And it's still estimating I will have a 37% charge by the time I get to my destination, which is 112 miles away.
6.5 hours later.
Alright, we're halfway into the trip. Total mileage when we left was 157 miles to my destination. We are now 77 miles away, so just past halfway. Currently the car is reporting 67% charge and a 203 mile range. So we've gone about 78 miles, 79 miles, and it's burned about 100 miles of charge. At least what it's reporting is the range. It's still saying I'll have 37% charge when I get to my destination. But yeah, so far so good. I mean, I think we're getting decent mileage. Probably not the 300 that it was reporting, but doing fairly well.
One eternity later.
Well, another quick update. I'm about 16 miles or 15 minutes away from my destination. It is estimating that I will end up with about a 39% charge. So originally it was saying 35% charge. It's jumped up and down from 35 to 37 to 38, and now it's actually reporting that I'll end up with about 39% charge. I am also at 44% or 45% charge, and it's still estimating my range to be 135 miles. So I've gone roughly 140 miles since I left Austin, and I still have a 134 mile range. So while it's not quite the 300 mile range that it estimated, I'm driving on the highway, which theoretically is not good for electric vehicles, because when you're slowing a vehicle down or stopping, you know, that actually recharges the battery. But so far, all these news stories seem to be unfounded.
2,000 years later.
Well, you know how you know you're in Houston? Just pulled into town, and of course there is traffic. I am 1.6 miles away from my destination. I will end up with a 40% charge, and according to this, that leaves me with another 121 miles of range. I have gone about 157 miles, so 157 plus 121 is what, 278 mile range. That's not half bad for, you know, supposedly being a 300 mile range. Again, driving in the hot Texas sun, got the air condition going, and you know, highway miles are not the ideal miles for an electric car, I don't believe, because, you know, typically an electric car will kind of recharge itself when you hit the brakes or when the car decelerates. So I think it's a pretty good test. Obviously it's only one test. That is my experience driving my Tesla Model 3 Performance from Austin to Houston and testing out the range.
Day 2.
So this is certainly no scientific you know, experiment or anything like that. We didn't do it multiple times to test things out, but I just wanted to get an idea of what my range would be driving to Houston yesterday. I made it all the way to Houston with about 40% charge left. I think I finally ended up charging after about 270 miles. The car still said I had about 15 to 20 miles, I think, left with about 10% charge. So, you know, I felt like I wanted to go charge at that point, but I certainly got plenty of mileage out of it. You know, if that would have put me somewhere in the 270, 280 range, driving in Texas in the heat, blasting air conditioning, listening to music, you know, using other sources of energy in the vehicle. You know, I seem to get a pretty good range. Again, not the reason I bought the vehicle, but it is definitely nice to see that it has that capability. You know, if I wanted to do a road trip, I certainly could. And it's really cool. The supercharger in Spring, Texas was charging the vehicle at somewhere in the range of 450 miles per hour of charge. So, you know, the thing only holds about 300 miles. So that would have been, what, roughly 40-45 minutes to recharge the vehicle. Not half bad. As a matter of fact, I stopped this morning for about 15 minutes and got myself another, I think, 75 miles of charge and made it back to Austin easily. So it seems like all the stuff in the media at the moment about the range and messing with algorithms and things like that, you know, maybe there was a different time period where that was true, but it certainly doesn't seem to be the case in my 2023 Tesla Model 3 Performance. Well, with that, guys, I'm going to sign off, and I'll see you on the next video.